gold because of what is happening on the global market. And as it is, what it means is the current mining companies in this country, if that law is passed, will have to pay significantly more. There is something really unprecedented happening, which was first reported by Reuters. There is a push now against this by global superpowers like China and the United States. So government is under pressure on this particular matter. Now, what really do we know tonight? We know that that particular piece of legislation that went to Parliament, that if it matures, will impose a sliding scale. First time we are implementing this in the extractive industry on the various companies in the mining sector. It's been before Parliament, and we've been counting down to 21 sittings of Parliament. As we speak today was the final 21st day, which means that tomorrow morning it becomes law. And already the US and other countries are warning Ghana that there will be consequences if we go ahead with this. But of course, it's law. It's the way our constitution is structured. Parliament is structured same. It has become law. Indeed, unless we hear something that changes this outcome, this is what we're going to go with. We're going to get some clarity on this. So in spite of the pressure, which I'll just illustrate pretty shortly, we are seeing that this particular piece of legislation should become law by close of today. And of course, Parliament is already closed. So today was a sitting. Tomorrow morning, you expect this to take full effect, and the government should go into implementation. What does this mean? Currently, the royalty rate is 5%. Once this becomes law tomorrow morning, it's now going to be oscillating between 5 to 12%. This is what we call the sliding scale. When the global price of gold, for example, is high, the companies will pay more. When, of course, it drops, they pay less. And so currently, with gold prices at record highs, you expect them to pay significantly more. And if indeed it drops, again, they will pay less. It's a sliding scale. That's what it means fundamentally. And we've seen the pressure now coming from Australia, South Africa, Canada, China, United States, of course. And these two have significant influence and sway at various levels. And they're beginning to squeeze and leverage that particular power to get Ghana to back off. But as you know, as you just explained, this 21 sittings have already now passed and is lapsed, which means that the law comes into effect tomorrow. Now, key point that really has led to the triggering of these various interests, the global interests, is because if you look locally, 80% of the mining sector is controlled by foreign interests. Only 20% is controlled by local interests. And that is a campaign that one of our guests has been waiting for so long, Steve Mateo, who has been making the point that we need to find a way and empower more Ghanaians to take control of our mining sector, the extractive sector. But this is the current reality. And so if you're squeezing your nationals, your businesses in Ghana, you expect that they will complain. And they're beginning to pile pressure on us. They've already done representations, according to Reuters, to our government, with subtle threats about potential repercussions and even reprisals as far as the trade war is concerned on this matter, because we have interest in other countries also. So you're looking at the share here. You look at, for example, where's the big one? The US interest in the extractive sector is just 8%. Canada has 20%, but China has 32%. And as you know, we have our hands in China's mouth on many issues. And look at the construction sector, for example. We want to promote that particular relationship in terms of the many economic benefits that we get from China in terms of soft loans, but also infrastructure development. And so they are using that leverage to squeeze us a bit now and say, if you do that, our firms operating in the extractive sector will suffer. They control 32% of that particular sector. You need to back off. And that, some may say, is interference in the sovereign actions and affairs of a country. But do they really care? It's fundamentally about interest as far as that is concerned. If you look at the current gold mining fiscal regime, there's a cumulative set of fiscal measures that places a single burden on those in the extractive industry. 5% royalty, 35% corporate income tax, and a host of others. And they consistently point to this cumulative impact and tell us that, in effect, you're talking about 60 to 68% impact on them. When you look at the effective tax rate on the businesses in the extractive sector, those who operate there, if this particular provision takes effect tomorrow, it's going to move from some 50 to 6% to 60 to 68%. They say that is a burden they cannot bear, and so they want our government to back off, completely scrap this whole idea and stick to your 5%. And they put it within the broader context of the continent. They tell us that if we go ahead with this, 21 days has elapsed, what is going to happen is we're going to be not one, the highest regime, fiscal regime in the in Africa when it comes to the burden that will be borne by operators in the extractive sector. So Ghana currently is at 5%. And if you see that, you have other countries like Mali that is at 10.5%. If you now factor in what we're now going to see take effect on tomorrow, that then moves it all the way to say 12% under the current circumstances. That will place us above Mali and will be one of the countries with the harshest fiscal regime in terms of its burden on the players in the extractive industry. So they're looking at this particular permutation and say if you do that, Ghana is going to become very unattractive to those who play in the sector. And you also need stability. And a lot of the companies have signed stability clauses, but what would this mean for them? Because stability clauses are exactly what they are. They're supposed to give you stability over a long period of time. And yet you cannot be changing fiscal regime in the midstream after you've approved those stability clauses. And so that throws up a whole legal conversation that I believe we'll explore tonight. And if you look at where gold is currently, it makes good sense for a country like Ghana with dire need of revenue to do this. And I must make the point, civil society players have been campaigning for a sliding scale form of fiscal regime for a long, long time. In the upstream oil and gas sector, it has been proposed, but government had not really come around to adopting it. This government is being very, very bold indeed and saying we're going to go ahead with this. So the question is, should we listen to these superpowers, US, China, and others, or would you just stick to our guns and do what we know is right for this economy? And I know that if you know Ato Forcing, who's been here many times, he's been very candid with us that he's only going to take that road that will benefit this economy and not because some other country says so. That is what he calls the autonomics. We're talking about 23 billion that we've raked in over royalties over the period. What have we done with it is a fundamental question that we should be asking. But the trend of revenue for minerals has shown that it's been going up, but it's gone up. The highest has been in 2025 because, as you know, you have the Growth and Sustainability Levy that also came into force, which was an additional burden on the players in there, was increased to some 3%. But if you look at the total breakdown of the various taxes that they need to pay and what we've been getting in, corporate taxes brought in 10.3 billion. You have a total of 17.6 billion. If you look at the 2024 breakdown of 2024 mining and revenue to the state. So clearly something is happening here that was benefiting Ghana. And Ghana says, well, we need to now change the regime slightly. So we are fair to this country when gold prices go up. And when it comes down, then of course the companies also benefit. They're shouting now because of where it is at $5,000 dollars an ounce. So, key questions. The Ghana Chamber of Mines, they've been raising fundamental issues about this. We have their guests on the show to articulate them. Rates excessively high. They believe this is not going to be good for the industry. Considering all the things they do, they talk about some companies may scale down, which means that they may have to lay off workers. They will articulate those big points for us tonight. Stay with us here on PMX. There's a big conversation indeed about Ghana in the eye of this big, big storm. And we have global superpowers now pushing back against our attempt to increase our royalties. What the fuss? Why this big fuss? And what should government of Ghana's position be on it? Stay with us.